experience that, then you can understand the other 4 Gospels better. And he also mentioned that many people want to go back if they can. I say I ran today where Jesus walked, and by the 3rd day my mind was mush because I was getting so much information that I wanted to go back and be able to focus on some other things.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about EO. Pam and I have been 20 times to the Holy Land. We started back in the early 90s with our churches. We have taken groups all across from the state of Florida, and we believe in EO. EO has been doing this for 45 years. A Methodist pastor and a bishop started the company, but it is certainly crosses all the denominations: Methodist, Baptist, Catholics, Presbyterians, everybody, and independents go. And so it is a wonderful organization. We were there January and February this year, and we had 3,500 people, 81 buses come through Tiberias in the 7 weeks we were there. This last year we've had 10,000 people visit the Holy Land with us. So, and people keep asking the question, why now? Why is everybody all of a sudden deciding to go to the Holy Land? If I had the answer to that, I'd bottle it and sell it. We don't know. Other than I think the Spirit is working in people's lives. I think that also people are saying, before the economy crashes again, I better go. But it is truly a spiritual experience, and we welcome the opportunity. So we go all year round, and we're going to talk about dates in a little bit. But what we're going to do first is hand out the brochure. And this is a generic brochure until we decide on a date, and hopefully at the end of the meeting tonight we will have locked down a date. Then we can get specific brochures that will have prices and details for your particular trip. But Gigi, you want to help us hand out brochures? And while we're doing that, we're going to show you a quick video. You are looking at the Sea of Galilee, and we're going to show you a video about where we go and what we're doing. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Holy Land Classic Tour from Educational Opportunities. This biblical journey will take you throughout Israel to see where Jesus was born, where his ministry took place, the Passion of the Christ, and to celebrate his resurrection. Whether this is your first time coming to the Holy Land or a return trip, you'll be sure to discover new things that bring you closer to God. Begin your journey at the Sea of Galilee, the place where Jesus spent most of his life. Take a boat ride out on the sea for a morning devotional with fellow passengers. Travel to Capernaum to see the synagogue ruins and Peter's house. Visit Tapka and the Church of Fish and Loaves. Then come to the Mount of Beatitudes for a breathtaking view of the sea and read the Sermon on the Mount. End your day with a journey to the Jordan River, where everyone will have the opportunity to be baptized.
See, just imagining Christ and his disciples going for a swim or just enjoying each other's fellowship, and it was a real touching time for me personally.
You'll see the town of Nazareth, Jesus' childhood home. Visit the Church of the Annunciation. Climb Mount Megiddo to see a spectacular view of the valley spoken about in the book of Revelation. And see Caesarea Maritime, a center of the early Christians and where Paul was imprisoned for 2 years. Visit the oldest city in the world, Jericho. Learn about its history and beauty, and see the place where Jesus was tempted. You may even have time to ride a camel. See the ancient ruins of Qumran. This area was once the home of the Essene community and where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered.
I have felt completely safe here. There's never been a moment where it even occurred to me to feel unsafe. It's very safe. We've had a great time. And this trip will definitely affect my ministry. It's brought to life the Bible. It's helped me understand things better, the geography of the land, what Jesus saw.
Come to the town of Bethlehem and go inside the Church of the Nativity. Join others from around the world as you journey below the church to see where Jesus was born. Walk through Shepherd's Fields, where the birth of Jesus was proclaimed by an angel, and sing a hymn in the beautiful church on these grounds.
Fabulous time here in the Holy Land. We visited a lot of places. I felt really safe. I never was concerned about my safety at all. And I would say my favorite spot was Shepherd's Fields.
At long last you will arrive in the holy city of Jerusalem. See the old city, Temple Mount, and the Dome of the Rock. Walk in the Garden of Gethsemane where Jesus prayed and was then arrested. Join fellow pilgrims in the upper room, the location of the Last Supper and of Pentecost. Come to the Western Wall and join others in prayer. You may even place a written prayer between the ancient stones. Sit on the southern teaching steps where Jesus taught the gospel. See the pools of Bethesda where Jesus performed the Sabbath miracle, and walk the Via Dolorosa along the path that Jesus once carried the cross. The Via Dolorosa will take you to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the traditional site of his death and burial. During your trip, you will have the option of taking a day to visit Masada and the Dead Sea. Take a cable car up and see King Herod's mountaintop temple with an awesome view. And don't miss the chance to swim in the Dead Sea. Spend your final day at Ein Karim, place of the burial of John the Baptist, and finally at the Garden Tomb, where you can reflect and rejoice in his resurrection. Take communion with your fellow passengers for a time of worship you won't forget.
And it has just been the most perfect time. I know more about this land than I ever thought I could possibly know. And I will travel with you anytime.
Educational Opportunities would like to help you in planning your next trip to the Holy Land. Whether it's your first time to Israel or you're a frequent visitor, there's always something new to learn and experience. This beautiful country will not only help you in understanding Scripture, but it will be the journey of a lifetime. Come to the Holy Land with Educational Opportunities and never be the same again.
All right, let's open up the brochure. You've seen a lot of it, so we're not going to go into detail, but we're going to kind of generally. So you're going to get on a plane in Tampa, unless you have friends that are coming from someplace else in the United States. They get on a plane wherever they are. They'll meet you in either Newark or JFK. And from there, you will leave on a flight to Tel Aviv. So that, because you don't usually leave till later in the day, and it's 6 to 7 hours, depending on the time of year, time change between here and Israel, you arrive the second day. And so on that second day, then you will go up to Galilee, and you'll check into the hotel in Galilee. As you see there on days 3 and 4, you're going to spend your time going to all the places around Galilee, including down to Nazareth and Cana, and then up around the sea and the special churches that are around Mount Beatitudes and others. From there, you will get on the bus. You'll only stay in 2 hotels. The first one will be in Galilee. You'll get on the bus and you'll head south to Jericho, Qumran, Mount of Olives, and spend the time in Jerusalem and then go over to Bethlehem, as it talked about. You'll spend quite a bit of time in Bethlehem, walking the Via Dolorosa, seeing the Mount of Olives and all those things that they described in the video. We call it a leisure day, but I always recommend my tour host tell you it's not going to be a leisure day, because everybody needs to go to Masada. And more importantly, everybody needs to go swim in the Dead Sea. But because you don't swim in the Dead Sea, you just kind of walk out far enough that your knees just pop up and you float. So there's no swimming. It's such the highly salt that it just allows you to float. But the Masada is just incredible, and certainly you don't want to be hanging back and not doing that. Then your last day, you're going to go to Ein Karim, as it said, where John the Baptist was born. you're going to go to Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum, and you're going to finally at the end visit the Garden Tomb where you will have communion before your depending on when your flight is for your return. As you look at this, you can talk about extensions, but until we decide exactly when you're going, I can't tell you which of these extensions would be available. Most likely, it will be Qumran, to go to Petra or to Egypt, but I don't think we want to talk about those right now simply because I don't know which ones will be available until we decide what date you're going to go. As you can see, the prices are listed there, again, depending on what month we travel. And to this price, you're going to add about $300 for your domestic airfare from Tampa to wherever we fly. So that deals with that. So, Pam, why don't you talk about safety?
There's no discussion. It's safe. We have people on the ground in Israel at all times, in all places. They are in communication with each other. If there's something that happens to pop up, they're on the phone. The guides are on the phone with each other, and it may be that we have to adjust the schedule one day. And maybe there's something going on at the wall in getting into Bethlehem, so maybe they say, okay, today we're going to go to Masada. And you may never know why you're going to Masada today instead of tomorrow. It's just so safe that we've never had any issues. You can go out at night after you come in from your tour, if you're still not totally exhausted, and go back and walk in the old city if you want. Or up in Tiberias, go walk down the promenade and walk into town and talk with the people. It's just so safe. I can't say enough about that.
It's more dangerous to walk around in downtown Tampa
Amen.
than it is to walk around in Jerusalem or Tiberias.
We hear more about stuff that is going on over there than you would ever hear in the States. If there's somebody sneezes over there, they're going to put it on national news. Whereas you could have 15 people stabbed to death in New York City and you never hear about it. So please filter what you hear. Are you going to listen to the TV news reports, or are you going to listen to God pulling your heart to go see these holy places? This is truly a pilgrimage. It's not a vacation. It's not it is touristy, but it is a true religious pilgrimage to be in these spots. But so many people want to see them. Sometimes it is like going to Disney and standing in line when you don't have a fast pass. But it is truly worth every moment that you spend there.
And once you register for the trip, we have an EO website that's called Holy Land Update. And you saw those videos of people who are sitting there. Every week we post new videos of people who are there right now. Not 6 months ago, not a year ago, but people who are there right now. So you can understand that you're up to date on what's happening.
You want to tell them about our experience in January with the plane?
No. I did have somebody call. I did have somebody call me while we were there in January and said, "What's going on in Bethlehem?" And I said, "Nothing." But I got off the phone. I called our representatives in Jerusalem and Bethlehem. "What's going on in Bethlehem?" "Nothing." But the news reports over here had said that. We talk about the Golan Heights and things that can happen, but it's safe. I mean, we traveled this last time all the way to the Lebanon border, all the way to the Syrian border on our own, and we've never felt any problems. So it's just to say in a word, it is safe. Yep. Let's talk about, though, another kind of safety. One of the things we do recommend that you do, as a matter of fact, I'm just pretty hard-nosed about this as a tour host. I tell you, if you're traveling with me, you're taking the travel insurance. The travel insurance is very important for so many reasons. Let's say you were to sign up today and you weren't going for a year. And 2 months before, I had a couple who were going with me, and 2 months before the trip, he went to the doctor and told him he was having bypass surgery. And he said, I can't have bypass surgery, I'm going to Israel. And the doctor says, no, you're not going to Israel, you're having bypass surgery. He had the travel insurance, it completely paid for his cancellation of the trip. If you're in Israel and you do stub your toe or fall or something happens to you and you need to go to the hospital, travel insurance picks it up. If you get lost bags, travel insurance picks up the cost of clothes and lost time because of lost bags. There are so many things that travel insurance does, and it is just really important. One of the first things we do when we get the list over there of who's coming, who has travel insurance and who doesn't, because you know who's going to fall is the person that doesn't have travel insurance. So it's really important that you have the travel insurance. Why don't you talk about weather?
Weather
Going
is-
the time of year.
Okay, depending on the time of weather, I mean, weathermen are always wrong. But, I can't tell you what the weather's gonna be like here tomorrow or next week, 100%. Israel is on the same latitude as Atlanta, Georgia. So if you're going in February, you might be wearing short sleeves, you might be wearing jackets. It's just really, but generally, the weather is very mild. But I have had snowball fights in Jerusalem in January, February. March is weather, it's spring, same seasons as we have here, since we're all in the same hemisphere and right around the same latitude. So, just whatever you would do for here in the wintertime, you would do when you travel. We always recommend that you layer your clothes and be prepared for all kinds of weather. And carry an umbrella or a rain poncho or something.
And we've been so many times now, especially spent as much time as we did over this last year, we're coming back saying, don't take a lot of clothes. You do not need to dress up. Take a couple of pairs of jeans, 2 or 3 pairs of pants, whatever it is you're comfortable taking. If you want to wear a dress, you can. But don't take a lot of clothes. Nobody is going to care if they see that outfit time and time again. So save your things. There is no laundry, so take a few pair of underwear and plan to wash them out in the sink and let them dry. This is not an elegant dress-up trip. This is be comfortable. But,
comfortable clothes, comfortable shoes to wear.
But women must, when we go in the Catholic churches and the Greek Orthodox churches, women must cover their knees and their shoulders. Men must cover their knees. We don't recommend, unless you're going in the summertime, we don't recommend you take shorts because you need to stay what's called a modesty dress. And so if you try to get in a place and you haven't, they're going to stop you and not let you in. So I always say, is it more important to be wearing those shorts, or is it more important to get in to see the holy sites? All right. Money. Go ahead.
Israel deals in shekels, but because there are so many tourists, not only from the United States but other places, they do take American money. We do recommend that if you can take a few shekels, if you get to Tiberias and you want to go around the corner and get a Coke or something, they're not going to take American money, they're going to take shekels. So you can get shekels at the malls sometimes, or even at the airports, and just, maybe $50 total for shekels.
$50 would be about 200 shekels.
They do take MasterCard and Visa at most places where you're going to be purchasing lunches or other things. In the shops where you're buying, say, an olive wood nativity set, they will take credit cards as well. We only take you to places that we know are reputable, and therefore we have no problem saying you can put it on your charge card there.
Only Visa and MasterCard, no Discover, no
American Express and no traveler's checks.
No traveler's checks.
They are not
They are
accepted
very-
over there, so we don't even take them. Dinners and breakfast are buffet, huge buffets, and they stop everywhere, every day for lunch somewhere. And lunch is on your own, and it runs about $10 to $15 for lunch if you want to eat. You could just get something to drink if you wanted. I carry crackers, the peanut butter crackers or something, and get something to drink. So if you're eating a big breakfast and a big dinner.
But you can get salads, you can get soup, or you can get the full meal. And except the day when you have to eat St. Peter's fish. And that's $20 that day. And it's the one splurge meal. And it's really understanding that it's a tilapia fish, but it's the only place it grows is in the Sea of Galilee. And so it's called St. Peter's fish. All right, let's see.
Do we have to tip everybody all the time?
No.
Your tips are included. The hotel staff will carry your bags they will take them off the bus for you when you arrive at the hotels. They will take them to your rooms. Those tips are all included ahead of time in the cost of the trip. At meals, tipping is not typical.
The one thing we do is, we call it a tip, or a love offering. I think it would be better called a tip than a love offering, is that we ask you to tip your guide and your bus driver.
We have the same bus driver and the same guide. They will pick you up at the airport. They stay with you the entire time you are there and take you back to the airport at the end. And so we do collect a love offering for them. What we do in our groups is we ask that there's a recommended amount per day for them, and we ask our travelers with us, set that aside. Get that money, set it aside. You can do it in American dollars. Put it in an envelope, mark it as the love offering. When you get to your hotels, put it in a safe until your bus captain says, we're going to be collecting the love offering tomorrow, so bring it with you, and then they'll collect it and give it to them. That way you're not spending it on anything else.
All right, one of the most important things is being fit to travel. Israel is not an ADA country. Wheelchairs don't work. You got cobblestones and steps that you're going up, and there's no plan for wheelchairs unless you got somebody that's going to pick you up and carry you. And it's also true about walkers. It's pretty unstable to try to walk with a walker. We have people take pains, that's fine. But walkers and wheelchairs, we can't get the wheelchairs on. And every once in a while, have somebody has the little wiggly carts, and can I get those? Well, you can't even get them on the bus. So it is not an ADA country. So walking is really important. The most walking day will be the day in the Old City. We drop you off to walk into the St. Stephen's Gate. We walk all over the Old City. It takes all day walking. We do stop, we have lunch, we have stop breaks to rest, but it's an all day of walking that day. Most of the rest of the days you're going to be on the bus, you're going to get off the bus, walk for a mile or two, and then back on the bus. Off the bus, another walk. So it is the Fit to Travel, and it's in the brochure in the fine print. I do recommend you read every word of the fine print. It's extremely important to do that, and one of those is the Fit to Travel portion of the fine print. Let's take a moment and ask some questions. What have we not talked about that you would like for us to talk about?
So when we're staying at the hotel, we are free to go down the street to a cafe on our own.
Absolutely. We get to the hotels about 5 to 5:30 usually in the afternoon. Dinner is at 6:30 if you want to go take a walk before dinner and go into dinner late, or if you want to go to dinner and then go take a walk.
Well, you can go out to dinner, and then that cost would be on your own.
If you want to get up in the morning and go take a walk.
On our own anyway, right?
No, for dinners, they are included. You get breakfast and dinner every day in the hotels.
It's part of the.
It's part of
Part
the
of
cost.
overall
It's
travel.
only lunch
Yeah.
that's not included.
Lunch is not included.
Yes.
How many people
mentioned big numbers.
Big numbers, uh-huh.
How many people are staying in the hotel that are apart, like, is there going to be?
We may have 5 or 6 buses that are coming into a particular hotel. We've had as many as 15 buses come into a hotel, and there are up to 45 or 50 people on a bus.
But your bus is on its own schedule, at its own time. You have tables that are set up for your bus to sit, so you're not worried about how many other people because you're there on your own.
Well, you said it's a buffet, so I'm just wondering, like, how many people are going through the lines? Is this like a cruise?
Yeah, well, they have 3 different
Yeah,
buffet
kind
lines.
of like that. They usually set aside tables for our groups. Dinner is served usually between 6:30 and 9, and you're welcome to go anytime you want.
Yes.
In the course of the day, what kind of distance are you walking, getting off, a mile, 2 miles?
No more than 2.
Or,
There, as I say, you're gonna get on the bus, you're gonna get off. I'm gonna use a day up in Galilee as an example. So, you get on the bus, and you go over, and you get on the boat, and you go out on the Sea of Galilee, and you come back, and you get on the bus, and you go to Capernaum, and you go walk through Capernaum for a mile or so, get back on the bus, you go to the Mount of Beatitudes, walk through there. That's not going to be
No.
more than a quarter of a mile. You get back on the bus, you go to another site, another probably quarter of a mile. So at no time is it long distances. A lot of times it's just back on and back off the bus.
how about stragglers? Do they shoot them?
I would like to.
Talk to your tour host about that.
No, what we try to do is put the slowest people at the front of the line. And so that the distance. The reality is, we have had people straggle and get lost, and we tell people, particularly in the city of Jerusalem, if you get lost from the group, just find a gate, hire a taxi, and go to the hotel. Because we could look for you for hours. But most of the time, that's your tour host. That's your pastor's job, is to make sure you don't straggle. I had one trip, I had a gentleman who had some dementia, and we came out of a bathroom break, and we said, okay, we're going to head down here to the bus. We were going left, he headed right, and then I had to go find him.
Spent about 45 minutes looking for him.
And so we try not to have any stragglers. Probably the worst stragglers are photographers. Who think they have the picture of every sign and every stone and everything.
With nobody else in the picture.
Yeah, with nobody else in the picture.
So we want to wait until everybody's gone.
Really, you can walk.
Yeah. Okay, question I had up here is,
Finish this.
Sometimes I have to stop, I just can't walk.
Well, when we do that, we just call out to the guide, we need to stop and let this person catch up.
What kind of terrain is it generally? Is it,
Cobblestone,
but is it up and down a lot, or?
you have steps.
I
There is,
imagine that you already.
Jerusalem's up on a mountain.
Chosen routes for.
Yes.
most of the area in Galilee is flat, you're not climbing any mountains.
Many of them just asphalt sidewalks.
When we go to Masada, we take a cable car up, and then there's about 100 steps we have to go up to finish that. And you're walking around the top of Masada. It's not particularly a problem. In the old city of Jerusalem, you're walking the old city streets, and it's cobblestone, and we'll go up and down a few steps, but
In Bethlehem, where they park the buses and where the Church of the Nativity is, it's probably maybe a quarter of a mile walk, and it's at a grade on the sidewalks. I had a gentleman this last year that I had to hang back with. He had COPD, and he had to stop and catch his breath
Yeah.
quite a bit along the way.
Somebody might take a hiking pole or something.
I
Many people
recommend
do.
it. Many
Some
people
take
do.
one or two. They took two.
if that helps you to,
Stabilize.
be more steady on your feet, then absolutely take them.
Very important question
Okay,
right
yes.
here. How early do we get started in the daytime?
Before dark,
No, before the sun comes up. Many times we will have 6 o'clock wake-ups, sometimes 5:45, getting breakfast by 6:30 to 7, on the buses by 7:30 or 8.
So sleep in your
That's
clothes
it.
the night before.
You're back at the
They do
hotel.
wake-up calls.
You're back at the hotel around 5:30. Then you have the rest of the night to rest if you want to rest, or
Explore.
explore if you want to explore. It's just what's best for you. Yes.
Phone and internet service.
The buses have internet on them. The hotels have internet on them. And so you can do Facebook or emails on the buses or the phone on the.
Check with
you
your local
can-
carrier to see about your international coverage. You can purchase a SIM card over there. I've done that with a phone and put a local SIM card in
But-
and get a local phone number.
But you can use your internet to make phone calls.
Yeah.
So unless you just really feel you've got to stay in touch with your phone, we say just put your phone on airplane mode and then turn the internet on and use it in the hotels, use it on the buses. You can stay,
Most of the hotels we use over there allow a free 10-minute phone call home every day.
Any other questions?
Weather.
Well, again, it depends on when you go. If you
On
go,
an average, you're looking at.
Is there a rainy season? Is there a time that's really not beneficial, you know, like?
just January, February, March, it's cooler.
Probably
April, May,
average.
June, July, August is warmer. November is kind of considered the rainy season. But
Rainy season can be January,
Can be-
February as well.
this last year,
We have-
the Sea of Galilee over the last 20 years has been dropping in level. It had dropped down 20 feet. This last year, the first time in about 10 years, we had enough rain that the sea has raised back up 10 feet. So January, there was a lot of rain. And so we do recommend raincoats and that sort of thing, but it's really not anything that's going to deter your trip.
You can take stuff on the buses with you every day when you head out, and you can leave a small backpack or something on the bus. So if it's raining, I put an extra pair of socks, if I'm wearing them, in my backpack for the day, so that if my feet get soaked, I can change it out.
Do they have a hurricane season
No.
or anything like that?
No, it's usually just rainy and cold or.
It's either rainy and cold
Or
or
you can probably
Dry.
determine when the best weather is
By the
based
price.
on the price of the.
No, those are season and off-seasons
Oh,
prices.
wow.
So that depends on.
Yeah.
the coolest.
Number of people going?
Um,
Number of tourists?
No, that depends, that's kind of the hotel price, when the hotels charge the most amount of money. And airplane, the airplanes in certain times of the year charge more money. So it's based on airplane rates and hotel rates. And that's, really, we can't predict what the airplanes
It's
are
like our
gonna do.
hotels here have in-season and out-of-season
Well, right,
rates.
but that's kind of dependent on the weather too. I mean, not too many people want to
Somewhat,
travel
yeah.
here in July and August,
Yeah.
unless they're crazy.
Well, and the same is, I mean, it's gonna be hot over there in the summertime.
Right.
There's just no doubt about it. It's gonna be hot in the
But
summertime.
it's on the
Yeah.
same latitude, but do they, like, our rainy season's like June 1st through September, is it?
That's
similar
not rainy
there?
season over
It's
there.
not rainy season for
That's,
them. It's
that
more
is
November, December,
January
January.
tends to be more rainy.
Can you bring, like snack foods from here
Sure,
to there?
Yes, you can.
we actually recommend it. Especially if you're a diabetic and you're getting on the airplane, take food, because the airplane doesn't know your diabetic schedule. And we've had people who got into crisis because they didn't take the food they needed. So,
All
Yeah,
of the
take care of
hotels have
yourself.
hair dryers, but you do need to take a converter because their plugs are not like our plugs.
That's
And you can short out,
But you could just use theirs, right?
hair dryers,
you can
but
use
as
their
far
hair
as,
dryers, but if you're taking
But not
a
your
cell
phone.
phone,
You're taking your
a
own
cell phone that
electrical.
needs to be recharged, if you're taking an iPad that needs to be recharged, you'll need to have the converters
It's called the European converter. It's got
European
two round.
converters. It's two
plugs on it.
round plugs.
And if
then
you've taken
you
something
plug that
old-
in, and then your stuff will plug into it.
Like an older laptop that doesn't have this 110, 220 conversion in it, then you have to take the transformer with the converter. But most cell phones, cameras and all, take the 110, 220, and you just get the two plug that converts it. All right, I think we have reached a point where we need to talk about time of year you're going. There are 3 dates that have been tossed about. One would be March, one would be June, so that school teachers could go, and the other would be November. So I'll throw that up to you. How y'all want it, Judy? How do y'all want to decide which date we're going to go for?
Does anybody have strong preferences?
Not June.
Not June, we went.
Well, that was easy.
We went on a tour to Israel in June, and it was hot, hot, hot.
Right now, it's 110 in
Yeah.
Tiberias, and it
Horrible.
could be up to 130, 140 down in
Yeah.
the desert.
But I do say about that,
But it's
it
a dry
is
heat.
dry heat. It is
Yeah,
not,
still it's hot.
it's still hot, but I'm saying, it's not
still
like
hot.
110 would be in Florida.
Right, but it's still hot.
It's still hot, there's no doubt about it.
November's rainy season, so.
That, I wouldn't let that,
So is March.
I wouldn't let that deter you. We've had many people go in November, it is fine. But it's, the other thing that to understand, and you need to check this out if it's school teachers who are interested in going. We've had people get one-time forgiveness from their principals to go on a religious trip. So that's something, if you're a school teacher and that's important for you to talk to your principal and say, would you one time in my tenure with you give me permission to have extra days off so that I could go on this trip? They may say yes, they may say no, but it's something you would want to talk about with your principal. All right, we've eliminated June. So would you rather go in March or would you rather go in November?
In March, they have, March, they have their spring break, around the 13th, through the 20th, or 23rd, it looks like.
When is Easter next year?
You'd have to ask the rabbit, I don't know. I'll look at it.
You gotta think.
Yeah, does it get crazy for Easter, do you think?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's how many pastors want to be gone at that time of year.
Well, I was there last year for Palm Sunday, and I walked the Palm
April
Sunday
12th.
walk with 10,000 other people. So I don't recommend the week of Easter.
April 12th is when that is, so it's
So
not
you're-
during March.
So we're good.
So March is
So we're
good.
looking at,
So if you look at the dates on
we're
here,
looking at Saturday, March 14th.
Well, on here,
Are these the departure dates here on the
the
brochure?
departure dates are always Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So you'll see in March, the dates are March 2nd, 3rd, 9th, 10th, 11th, 16th, 17th, 23rd, and 24th.
Sir, can I ask you a question?
So that's 16.
Why are some of the dates or some of the months, time periods have so many dates in them and some of the other months have very few dates? What determines that?
Some of it's how many
Hotel availability.
hotel availability.
Okay.
So for the spring break, could, March 11th, and then you just have 2 days that you would take off?
That'd be 3 days,
so it
but
would
yeah,
be 3 days.
but yes.
So you'd go like, because it's a 10.
What is the 10th a
10th is a Wednesday.
10th is, so the 9th is a Tuesday.
But
The 11th would be a
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
is it on the week
what
of the
year are we
11th?
talking?
2026.
Wait,
It's the next week, it's the 16th through the 20th is spring break.
So it would be the 16th.
So if you left on the
But-
16th,
But it's a 10-day thing, isn't it?
yes.
Yes.
Well, then Kim, like for in November, when do teachers get off? for
Thanksgiving, the week of
End
Thanksgiving.
of November.
Yeah.
So yes, either it's gonna be the Tuesday before or the Tuesday after, so yes.
But what about that Thursday, the 11th.
We don't,
Oh, no,
No,
on Wednesday.
Wednesday the 11th.
Wednesday.
Wednesday's the 11th.
Yeah. So that would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then that
Then
would
you
be
have the whole next week
Right.
off, would be spring break.
Right,
Oh, so Wednesday,
Oh.
Thursday, Friday, or
and that would work.
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot.
So,
Cindy
March
has the
11th.
same
March
schedule.
11th.
Okay.
That's March 11th.
Yeah.
Aha, darn.
But she's got plenty of time to get it figured out.
Right.
March 11th, is
And
that
then,
what?
and then they would have the whole next week off.
No,
Right.
Right.
So it's plenty for the whole.
So you're saying like to leave on the 11th
On the
So when-
Wednesday.
and
When
then
we
come
leave on
back
Wednesday,
when?
What day do we return?
10 days later, so Friday.
Friday.
21st, 22nd,
Be
Yeah.
back the 21st or 22nd.
yeah.
Yeah, the
Which is a
21st is
weekend.
a Saturday.
Oh, that doesn't have to be.
Yes.
That would be 10 days.
So from 11 plus 10 is 21.
21st would be 2 days.
You'd be back for the 21st.
Saturday back.
Yeah.
So I don't know what flights are.
Right. Yeah.
Is that which one did, March 11th?
Sounds good.
And when we're traveling back, we come back a day, like half day.
Yes, and the flight is about how many hours?
9 to 10
Yeah, it's a long flight.
Yeah.
Depending on-
Coach?
Yes.
Okay.
by coach. And it all,
I know,
you know, here's the thing about it.
Nervous like.
If, as far as going, if by luck you get assigned to the early United flight, you actually arrive over there like 9 o'clock in the morning, so you don't lose as much time. If you get the later one, you're not gonna leave here till maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon on that Wednesday, and you're probably not going to leave out of New York or Newark until 11 o'clock at night. And then you are flying all night long, and you get in there about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you get on the bus, and you go straight to the hotel. I do not have Carnac to tell you which flight you're gonna be on, right? And so it's just a matter of, as we get closer to it, you'll find out. But it's just, you might get a few extra hours of travel if you get on the early flight. On your way back, what we try to do is get you to fly out late in the evening or very early in the middle of the night, so that you're arriving back here in the morning and get back to here by 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock or something in the afternoon. What I do say is, if you can take the next day off, I would highly recommend it. It takes, for me, it takes 1 day for every hour of time that we're the time zone. So it takes me about a week to catch up. And what that means coming home is, I wake up about 3 o'clock in the morning, I want to go to bed about 7 o'clock at night. And so, if you're a teacher, that's not too bad, because you're going to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and be able to go on to school. But it does take a long time to adjust. And there are medications. Yeah, there's all kinds of things. One of the things we kind of recommend you do is take something that will help you sleep on the way over and sleep on the way back. But also try to get onto the routine of the place where you get home. So try to make sure your sleep pattern is such that you're going to go to sleep at the time you expect to go to sleep.
I'll bring drugs.
How long is that flight?
You're bringing
from
some
New
for
York?
everyone?
Yes.
That's 8 hours.
About 8
About
hours.
8 hours.
Yeah. Again, it all depends on tailwinds and headwinds. It could take an extra hour if you get flying into a headwind.
Now, it's up to us then to try and figure out our first leg of the trip, which.
No.
No, EO will. You tell them
Oh,
on
you
your,
help us to get that too, like.
Oh, that's all
whether it's
done.
Tampa or whatever.
on your,
That's all done.
on your registration form, you'll put your departure city. And if you're flying out of Tampa, then they will just add the extra amount onto your bill when they do it. They will handle all the airline all the way through.
Oh,
And
EO
if,
handles all the details.
and if there's somebody from up north or out west that you want to go with you, they'll arrange to get them to Newark or New York to be on the flight with you. That's the plan. Doesn't always work, but that's the
Yes,
plan.
we
Yes.
did.
Tell me the formula for the discount if we pre-register
Okay,
based on a 3/11.
with a 3/11, this is June,
So it'd be 9 months.
you are 9 months out.
So it's probably going to only be about $75 to begin with.
100.
And it depends on days, how many days out from the trip, and then it goes down $25 every
They
month.
got it on here.
It's 9 months.
9 months is
out
100.
is
Then it goes down $25 each month. So here's what's going to happen now. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to book you for the trip. And then I will call my rep at the office and have them rush a new brochure out as quickly as possible that'll have that particular date and that particular airport out of Tampa. I assume you want me to put Tampa.
Tampa's easier, right?
And that we will have that brochure, and in the brochure, it will have a list of discounts, and it will also have the possible extensions or that you can take if you want to. So one of those probably will be Petra, one of them probably be Egypt, and those who want to, everybody doesn't have to do it. Anybody who wants to can sign up for those extensions.
The way the extensions work is there may be 2 or 3 from your group that want to go to Petra. I'm going to use Petra as an example. There may be another group in the hotel, and they have 3 or 4 people that need to go. They need at least 10 to make it go.
Makes
They will
15.
send all of the people that are going home off the basic trip home, and then those who are going on the extension then will be, they'll give information to you as to where to meet, what time, and you will go on a bus to the border. The guide will take you to the border. You walk through the border, and then you have a guide from Jordan pick you up on the other side to take you to the hotel, and then be your guide the whole time you're in Petra, in Jordan. Then at the end of the time, they will bring you back to the border, and you will go through customs there at the border, and another guide, your Israeli guide, will pick you up on that side and take you to Tel Aviv to the airport.
And the same's true if you're flying out of Egypt, except you'll fly home from Egypt. You won't come back to Israel, fly home.
You cannot fly into Tel Aviv, into Israel, and out of Jordan. If you fly into Israel, you fly out of Israel. If you fly in, if you're doing the Holy Land via Jordan, and you fly into Jordan first, then you come over and you do your touring, and then you have to cross back over to fly out of Jordan.
Now, what does that, when you do take the extension, what does that, that's that price here, right?
Right.
So what
That's
does
all
all that
include. That
include?
includes your hotel, that includes your guide, your driver, your breakfast and dinner,
Just like on the regular
just
trip.
like on the regular basic trip.
And that's
You
just
still
overnight,
have-
one night, right?
It's sometimes 2 nights.
Some are 3, some are a week, depends on which extension you take. So Jordan is 3 nights. Jordan's 3 nights. And if you go to Egypt, that's usually a week. Especially if you take the Nile cruise, that's usually a week. I guess Egypt could be 4 or 5 days, but you'll see when you get the other brochure, it'll give you details of how that works.
Now, how about the visa? Does that include the visa fees?
Fees includes. All right, let me tell you something about Israel visa. This is kind of a fun thing we found out in the last time. When you get into Jerusalem, into Tel Aviv, and you go through the passport line, oh, by the way, even though it says Israeli passports and foreign passports, just get in line. They don't really care. And anyway, when you get through the line, they're going to give you a little blue card, about the size of a credit card. That is your visa. They say you're going to need this to get your luggage, but you put that with your passport and you keep it. It's a 90-day Visa card, and I've had hotels that want to see the Visa card for and give you a key. So don't think that that's a throwaway. That is a keep it to make sure that you have your Visa while you're there.
One other question.
Yes.
If these are per person prices?
Yes.
Does that mean there's one person in a room or
No,
two
it's
persons?
double occupancy. So if you're traveling by yourself, we recommend you find somebody that you would like to travel with. And if you insist you want to travel by yourself, it's about 75% more. And that's because you're not paying extra for the airlines, but you're paying to stay in that room by yourself, which is a double occupancy room. About 75% more. So,
So
you
all
know,
the rooms based on these prices? are
double occupancy,
Double occupancy.
double occupancy. Yeah.
Can you get to pick who you can be?
You want to pick who you want to be with. That's up to you and your group to do. Now, every once in a while, I don't recommend this. Every once in a while, people say, Theo, find me a roommate. Do you really want that to happen? But some people insist, and occasionally finds people roommates. But it's not always the best experience for both parties. So, you have your own idiosyncrasies in rooming and.
Especially if she's about 18. Oh, sorry.
Plus, they're not gonna put you with a woman.
Especially if you snore.
I was gonna say, but if you snore.
The other thing, people who use CPAP machines, when you get to the hotels, we keep water for CPAP machines in the hotel. You can buy it from us. It's much more expensive over here. It's $5 a quart. But if you need CPAP machine water, we do carry it. As always, we recommend you take all your medicines with you. I could tell you stories, but take your medicine in your travel bag, in your backpack, whatever. Do not put it in your suitcase, because if your suitcase gets lost, therefore your medicine is lost. Okay.
Any do's or don'ts about water, food?
We put water on the bus. Drink the water off the bus. It's $1 a bottle for water on the bus. The water in the hotels is wonderful to drink. Do not have any qualms about it. Do not buy water off the street.
Do not buy water off the street.
Who knows if they just went to the local sewer and filled it up with water?
So you don't want tap water outside the hotel either?
Outside the
Not outside
hotel.
the hotel, no.
Hotels is good.
There are some little convenience stores in downtown Tiberias that I would go buy water from, but the bus drivers have them on the bus, and
Just better just to buy from the bus
cold,
driver.
and it's-
And if you want to buy a bottle from the bus driver and then come in the hotel and fill it and take it on the bus, more power, that, whatever. It said you can go in the little shopping centers and buy, flavored water or vitamin water or sodas or whatever you want to buy and take with you. But, in the hotels, sodas are about $4. And if you go to the little shopping places around there, they're about $1.50.
What about coffee?
Coffee in the morning is free. They don't serve coffee at nighttime. Remember, you're staying in kosher hotels.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, in the morning, a kosher hotel serves cheese and dairy products, but no meat, other than fish. At noontime or at dinner time, they serve meat and no cheese or dairy. So they don't serve coffee at night because most people like cream in it, so they can't serve you the cream. So
But you can go to the bar and get
you
a
can
cup
go to
of
the bar
coffee
and
and pay for it.
And
you go to the bar and get cappuccino.
So they drink coffee there.
Oh, you have coffee machines in the hotels. You go and make coffee the way you want it. If you want Americano or if you want cappuccino or latte, whatever they have them in the hotels.
Just plain coffee?
Just plain coffee.
Cafe Americano.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, the other thing I just want to say is one of the things Pam talked about early is a book called The Fifth Gospel. And this gentleman, this is the one book that Pam and I highly recommend that you pick up. You can probably pick up on Amazon before you go. But if you go over there, the earlier in the trip you buy it, the cheaper it is. It's funny. In the very first place you visit at the Beatitudes, it's $25, and the next place it's like $26, then $27, and $28. So the Church of Beatitudes, the Church of the Beatitudes is the best place. When we bought this one, it was $22, but this last year it was $25. Why is this such a good book? Pam talked about it. It's the fifth gospel. It's the gospel of the land. It's little things, like for instance, that is a fault line that runs from Mount Hermon all the way down to Jericho. And it's the Sea of Galilee is 600 feet below sea level. By the time you get to Jericho, you're 1,200 feet below sea level. So when the Bible says they went down to Jericho, I don't care where you are in Israel, you go down to Jericho. And when the Bible says they went up to Jerusalem, that wasn't north, south, east, or west. Jerusalem's 2,700 feet above sea level. You go up to Jerusalem. So this book tells you a lot about the land and and what's happening there. It is called With Jesus Through Galilee According to the Fifth Gospel. So that one for the Galilee area, and then an identical book for Jerusalem that's called Jesus in Jerusalem. And so you can buy these in the Olive Tree or the hotels down there if you choose. But if you're only going to buy one book while you're there, this is the book we would recommend. Also, as you said, we told somebody that we have a mascot, and the mascot's name is Cam-E-O. I thought that was cute. Anyway, yes, there will be many places that you can buy olive wood. We have recommended places. Olive wood is expensive. And the more people travel over there and the more trees they have to trim back to get olive wood, the more expensive olive wood gets. But
the more detailed they are, the more expensive.
yes, and the more details in the picture they are. And so, but you can buy little olive wood pieces, like a little nativity set that you can hang on your Christmas tree like this. And they're fairly inexpensive. And you know, here's one of my favorites is the Lion and the Lamb one. But olive wood is available. Jewelry, lots of jewelry, particularly as famous is the Jerusalem, the Roman glass. A very colorful glass that they do jewelry around. And you know, you'll have the hawkers on the streets that are selling bags, 3 for $10. I mean, you can probably talk them into 4 or 5 for $10 if you're a good person at talking people down. Postcards for $1. Oh, one other thing, and we'll kind of make this the last, is that another thing that EO does is has what's called an Explorer Perks. And let me just pass those back. And Explorer Perks, for every $1 you spend with EO, you get a perk point. And this is really good if you end up traveling multiple times with us, because later on you can use those perk points towards your trips, towards upgrades on airlines, various things. And you can use them locally. Pam and I, after many, many years of being with EO, a couple of years ago, planned our 40th wedding anniversary by taking our family to one of the Disney resort hotels, and we paid for the whole thing with perk points, did not pay a single dollar. So I do recommend you sign up for the perk points, and that you'll see it on your brochure when you get your brochure.
I have a question.
Yes.
The ordinate baptismal, I was reading online that they make you buy this kind of like little gown-y thing, it's like $20. Is that separate from?
It's separate. Here's the thing, the water is cold, and what we tell people, if you are going to go in, I prefer just to have people remember their baptism by putting a little water on your head. But if you are going to go in, they want you to change clothes because it's, particularly you do not want to wear anything see-through.
Mm-hmm.
And so even with the little white gown, we say, wear a swimsuit that day to avoid any embarrassment. But it is just kind of part of the tradition, and yeah, you can. And it comes with a towel and the gown and a baptismal certificate as well. But you can just go down and remember your baptism and put some water on your head, or just touch the water, whatever you want to do. There's nothing that you have to do while you're there.
How clean is the water?
Well, I wouldn't drink it. But it's coming out the Sea of Galilee. It's an exit point of the Sea of Galilee. And it's kind of like river water anyplace else. It's not anything you'd want to drink, but it's...
I can show you some in my office.
Yeah.
I've got a bottle of it, and it's still got sediment in the bottom.
Yeah.
That wasn't there when I picked it up, I swear, so.
Well, one other thing we're going to do is if you have questions later, I want to give you our card, and y'all can either email us or give us a call sometime, and we're certainly happy to continue our conversation with you and be as helpful as we can of making this trip good for you.
Thank you.
Now, how exactly do we sign up? After,
Okay, when you get
the host?
Oh, that's the other thing I was going to show you. Would you bring up the class, just pick somebody's brochure and bring it up? You're going to get, if you could do it, no, you can't do it on these, can you? All right, when you get the other brochure, the back page. Okay, this is, our bishop is going in February, and so this is the brochure for it. And on the very back page is the sign-up, and you go through and you fill out all the details, including your passport number and all the information that you need to sign up. And depending on time frame, it's probably going to need for you to send in a $300 deposit. And it'll tell you what the deposit is on the brochure. And you'll write a check. Now, if you go online and you go and you fill this registration form out, and you get to the bottom, you can make your registration on a credit card. But if you pay your entire bill on the credit card, there's a 4% credit card fee. So we highly recommend you write a check and save that 4%. So you write them a check for the deposit, and then they will send you a bill and tell you when the next amount is due and what the next amount is. Within so many days, it has to be $1,800, and then at 110 days out, I think you have to have full payment in.
Can you
110
do
days
both?
before?
I noticed you said if you do the full thing, like, can you?
You can pay the full thing with a check to begin with. I'm just saying, if you do it, you can go in and register and do your deposit here, but only do the deposit, and then when it comes out, pay the rest of it by cash. So the cash, it's called the cash price.
So they don't hit you for the 4% with the 300?
Not for the deposit.
So the difference, you just send the check?
Send the check in, save 4%. Why would you want to pay? And when we get the brochures, it'll tell you what your discounts are for registering early. Okay? And I will say, some people say, well, I want to hold on my money as long as possible. Well, we do reach a point where there's a $400 fee for late registration. And also, again, our biggest problem we're having is hotel rooms. So we really want you to get your registrations in so we can book those rooms and make sure that you have a room to stay in. Yes?
If we cannot go on the dates in March, is there a way to get in on someone else's tour at a later date?
Absolutely. If you can't go on the date in March, you tell me when you want to go, and I will find somebody who is going on those dates.
Okay. We work with about 150 to 200 group tour hosts that are going, and so we usually have somebody that's going on pretty much every date.
And it may not even be from Florida, it may be from someplace else, but I can find you somebody who's going on any particular day. Matter of fact, you can just take that generic brochure and you pick a date and you can just fill it, call them up and say, I want to go on this date, and they'll tell you if they have anybody going or not. But if you contact me, I'll work it out for you.
Okay.
Yes?
So what are it says special per person air add-on prices, is that, you pay more or you pay less?
When we get this as a group, Sometimes, we never know what fuel charges are gonna be,
Okay,
but we haven't really experienced any add-ons right now.
okay. So
But
that
they
would,
have
You're talking about out of the locals town.
right,
That would be in it, okay, your base price up here is, I'll just use the $29.98.
uh-huh,
That's your base price out of New York. If you want to fly out of Tampa on March the 11th, that is not one of the, on March the 11th. Tampa, no,
It says March
they say March 10th.
right.
That, the 250 is a special rate they're giving for those particular departure
You mean
dates.
up or down rate? Higher or lower rate?
Higher.
No,
Higher rate.
it would be 250
Plus
added on to the regular price.
Okay, and one day
Okay.
could make a difference.
But on March the 11th, that's not one of these dates. The given price for getting from round trip from here to Newark or New York and back is running $298.
It's if the airline has given them some special discount rates, we try to pass them
on
on.
those
Yeah.
dates.
That's the round
That's
trip.
Round trip.
But that amount, your amount from here
Or New York.
from Tampa to New York is added on to the base price of the trip. These base prices of the trip are based out of the flying out of Newark, New York.
Let me tell you one more thing about airlines. So we're doing group rates, right? So it's really important that if the person going with you has a different last name than you do, the airline seats are assigned alphabetically. So you might not be sitting with that person if you have a different last name. But also, group rates are kind of a funky thing with the airlines. And when you found out where you're going and you go on to pre-register for the flight, sometimes they'll offer you, say, oh, would you like to change seats? Don't change seats. Because if you do, you may change everybody's seat in your whole group. And that's just the way group airline. So if you decide you, at the last minute, want to upgrade to comfort seat, wait till you get to the airport and do that. Because we don't want you messing everybody else's seats up in your...
Unless you upgrade all of us, then that's okay.
It's nice. Okay? Well, we'll hang around. You can ask us any other questions.
A quick
Yes.
question, like passports, because when I've traveled with students before, your passport has to not expire within 6 months of your trip or whatever?
6 months and a day.
Right, okay, so just,
Yes, your passport.
because it may say to, June 2020, but we're going in March or what, and so.
And EO will tell you your passport needs to be updated because you must travel.
It has to be good for 6 months plus a day from the time your trip gets back.
6 months.
6 months and a day from the time you return. And there's a logic for that, and that is if something were to happen and you're had to go in the hospital or whatever, the visa problem is the problem you have to deal with. Look across the board. All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any more questions?
We got it.
Well, as I said, you've got our card, and tonight I will book you for the trip. It'll probably be another week or two before we get the brochures back to you. But I'll try to put a rush on those, and hopefully we'll have it so that y'all can go ahead. But you can't book it even online until we get the brochure done, okay? Yes?
Since the 10th is when it flies out, do we need to leave the 10th?
No, you can fly out on the 11th, it's just gonna be a little bit higher airfare.
Just a little bit, $40 or whatever that
$40
is.
more.
Okay.
But if you want to...
Normally it's $298, that on the 10th, it's $250.
Okay.
If there is a problem, I will get back with you. If we need to
Okay.
go on the 10th, then I'll let you know.
Okay. All right.
All right, well,
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Let's pray. Lord, we are just so thankful for this time together and the opportunity to talk about the rich experience of traveling to the Holy Land And we ask that your blessing be upon this church and on this group and others that may want to go with us, that they may find this pilgrimage truly a blessing for their lives. In Christ we pray.
Amen.
All right. Any other